couple of emails on the agenda items. I'm just letting the commissioners review those before we begin the meeting so that they receive that input. All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you all for coming to tonight's Planning Commission meeting. First item is I'll ask Commissioner Keldorf to lead us all in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Can we have roll call, please?
Chair Baldino.
Here.
Vice Chair Newman.
Present.
Commissioner Keldorf.
Here.
Commissioner Wingate.
Here.
Commissioner Heschler.
I'm here.
All right, now is the time on the agenda for public communication. Opportunity for anyone to address the commission about anything not already on the agenda. So I'll open public communication. All right, seeing no one come up, we'll close public communication. The next item on the agenda is a consent calendar. There are 3 items here. Does anyone wish to pull any of these items for further discussion or presentation?
Sure. I'll pull the ones on the alcohol.
So okay, so 2 and 3.
Yes.
All right. Anything else? Oh. Well, yeah, I'll do a motion to approve. I'll ask for a motion to approve items 1 and 4 on the consent calendar.
I make a motion to approve items 1 and 4 on the consent calendar.
All right, do we have a second? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. That brings us to call items from the consent calendar. First, we're going to talk about a director approval of administrative use permit to allow alcohol service at the new AC Hotel by Marriott. That's at 2130 East Maple Avenue. And then we'll hear about an application for alcohol sales at Burger IM at 831 North Douglas Street. Do we have a brief staff report on these? Ah, the projector. I hate to say it, Greg. Someone had to get on a chair and push a button up there one time, and it.
There it is.
It-
It's
All right. Yeah, it wasn't me.
it flickered. There it is.
Good evening, Chairman and members of the Planning Commission. This item is a administrative use permit to allow alcohol at a new hotel that's currently under construction. The site is in the corporate campus specific plan on Maple Avenue. You could see the intersection of Maple and Campus Square Drive. The request includes alcohol on the ground floor. This pointer. Whoop, that does move. Hold on. There. It's not turning on. Oh, well, on the ground floor, facing, it's not facing Maple. There's a shop and a restaurant also on the ground floor. And the other location where alcohol is proposed is on the roof. So here's a larger scale drawing of the actual floor plan. And the roof is very special because they're going to have a huge roof garden that's going to be open to the sky. You'll have a beautiful view, most likely to the beach. There's conference rooms also upstairs, 3 of them, and there's lounge area. This is a night view rendering of what the hotel is going to look like. And recommended action is to receive and file the director's approval, or alternatively, any plan commissioner may request that a different decision be made.
All right, thank you for that.
One point of clarification, the agenda specifies the hours of operation will be from 10 a.m. to 4 a.m. And the condition of the project actually says to 2 a.m. So I believe 2 a.m. is correct, so just wanted to point that out.
Thank you for that, Sam.
That was my question.
Yeah, that's state law.
All right, any other questions for staff on this item? Okay, I will open public communication. First, right, go to the applicant. Anyone here from Marriott? Would you like to come up and talk about your hotel? This is your free advertising moment here. Just tell us your name, please.
My name is Arjun Shokeen. It's an honor to be here today. I was raised in the South Bay, and our office is in the South Bay as well. So it's a great honor to be able to add to the city's landscape. You know, while designing the hotel, any decision was made answering this one question, and that was, what does this area deserve? And that's why we fought for a superior brand with Marriott. That's why we fought to have a rooftop bar. And we didn't spare expenses wherever we could. We made sure we put in the best materials and the best service that this community deserves. And so it's going to be an honor to be a part of your community, and hopefully we all see you there. Thank you.
Thank you. You know, we get a lot of hotels being close to the airport, and I think this is the first one that's come with a rooftop bar, and I've always wondered why other hotels don't do that. I'm sure there's plenty of people want to watch planes take off all day. And
yeah, so our rooftop bar faces the airport, so a lot of planes coming in and landing. You know, a lot of hotels didn't do it because it was really difficult to get to this point based on the construction standards and based on even Marriott's comments. We really had to fight to get this rooftop bar, and it's something that we take a lot of pride in. We've met with the city an immense amount of times. We've met with Marriott as well. We flew to Bethesda to fight for the right to have this rooftop bar. So it's hopefully a product that, you know, we're very proud of and that the community is proud of.
great.
Where does AC fit in the Marriott chain of brands?
It's a luxury select service property. So it would be above your Courtyard or Springfield. And we're not a full service hotel, so we only serve food and beverage within our outlets. The distinguishing factor of a full service is that there's a room service offering. We do not offer room service, but with the exception of that, we provide food and beverage, and we have a great luxury offering.
Is that rooftop bar open to people who are not staying there? Is it open to the public?
Absolutely. We're looking forward to having everybody in the community, and hopefully people from outside of the community come here. We feel like our offering, overlooking the airport, overlooking the planes landing, we hope to attract a lot of meetings from outside companies, and we truly feel like we'll be the best product in the community.
Great. Well, your plans look fantastic.
Thank you so much.
All right. Anyone else with comments? Seeing none, I'll close public communication. Any further comments from the dais? Okay. Well, then I'll accept a motion to approve the recommendation.
I make a motion that we approve, there's an approval of an administrative use permit to allow Type 47 alcohol service at the new AC Hotel by Marriott.
You have a second?
I'll second the motion.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, 5-0, thank you. All right, next pulled item is allow a type 41 alcohol license at Burger IM at 831 North Douglas Street. Do we have a staff report, please?
Good evening, Commissioners. Tonight we have another administrative use permit for alcohol service at Burger IM. It'll be located at The Edge, part of the Elevon Corporate Campus Specific Plan area. The restaurant will be approximately 1,200 square feet, of which only 267 square feet is dedicated to dining. So there will be about 18 seats inside. There's no outdoor dining that is proposed. And a representative for the applicant is available for any other questions.
Great, thank you. Any questions for staff?
I'm just curious, do any other restaurants or in the Edge have an alcohol license?
Yes, hi, good evening. My name is Lily
Oh, well,
Damas.
let me open public
Oh,
communication, Lily.
go ahead.
We'll give you a shot, don't worry. I gotta follow the agenda or I get in trouble.
Yes, other restaurants in the area do. We have a sushi restaurant as well as an Italian restaurant in the same plaza.
Thank you.
Any questions? Okay, now I'll open public communication. First right goes the applicant, please.
Good evening. My name is Lily Damaso, and I'm here on behalf of Liquor License Agents, and we are representing our client, assisting them with the administrative use permit with the Type 41, which is just for beer and wine for on-site consumption only. No live entertainment has been proposed. Like Brenna had mentioned, they do have a total of 18 seats inside. It is a smaller establishment, approximately 1,200 square feet. And what they will be serving is burgers. I don't know if you guys have had any burgers from Burger Inn before, and I brought a couple of menus as well for you guys to take a look at. Basically, what they have to offer is uno, duo, trio type of combinations of 3-ounce gourmet burgers that you can sort of pick and choose from. Sometimes when I have burgers, I want to have the turkey, and I also want to have beef, and I also want to have veggie, but I can't have all of them, right? So this is a good sort of unique way of presenting gourmet styles. They also have salads, and they also have fish and meat-free options as well. So what they want to do is just use the beer and wine as a secondary use, which is, the restaurant is a primary use. And their hours of operation, 10:30 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. daily. So we're here to respectfully request your approval and consideration.
All right, great.
And can I hand you menus if it's possible?
Sure, you can hand them right there. Any questions for the applicant?
Yeah, is it Burger IM or Burger Rim?
Burger M.
Burger Inn.
Rim.
And you're just basically little sliders is what you're talking about, right?
3-ounce gourmet burgers.
I'm sorry, 3-ounce gourmet burgers. Well done.
Can't believe you said slide.
I know. What a chump. All right, anyone else with comments on the gourmet tiny burgers? No? I'll close public communication. Further comments from the dais? No? Well, welcome to El Segundo. Wish you the best success. I know that's a very popular area, a lot of offices going in, so you'll probably kill it during lunchtime. And with that, I'll accept a motion to approve.
I request approval of an administrative use permit to allow type 41 alcohol sales at Burger Inn.
All right, motion. We have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, 5-0. Thank you. All right, that brings us to written communications. Is there anything other than the packets we already received?
Yeah, on the dais, there was another packet for items related to item number 5, and there's also a letter related to item number 6.
Okay, item 6 is a letter on behalf of D.R. Horton asking to continue it, so I'll ask for a motion to move the agenda around so we can do item 6 now and address the request for continuance. Can I get a motion for that?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All right, all approved?
Aye.
Okay, so let's go right now to H6, which is consideration and possible action regarding recommendation and possible approval of amending affordable housing element for the D.R. Horton project at 540 East Imperial Avenue. And based on the letter I have here, the applicants requested this be continued to the meeting at January 24th for the Planning Commission.
This
February.
is January 24th.
February 24th.
28th.
February 28th.
Yeah.
That's why we have counsel. Thank you. All right. Okay. Can get a motion to continue this item to be agendized and noticed on February 28th?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. There we have it. All right. Thank you. And we'll see you in February. Thank you. All right. Now that brings us to new business. Item H5, consideration of possible action regarding recommending approval and adoption of the lake-specific plan of the Top Golf project at 400 South Pacific Coast Highway. And what we're being asked to do here tonight, looks like, is to certify the final environmental impact report and then adopt a resolution recommending the city council approve a general plan amendment. Is that accurate? Those two items.
Correct. Those would be the two recommendations
Okay.
to put forward to the council.
All right, let's have our staff report then, please.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the Lakes Golf Course is located over on 400 PCH. Now PCH used to be Sepulveda. Anyhow, the project site measures about 26 acres in area. Currently contains a 9-hole golf course and some hitting bays for practice out there. The item here before us now includes creating a specific plan for the entire 26-acre site. Part of that includes reconfiguring the existing golf course, rezoning the property, changing its general plan land use designation, demolishing and rebuilding the clubhouse to a new smaller clubhouse, installing lights for nighttime use of the actual golf course, and ultimately construct a new Topgolf facility. The development throughout the process, which this initially came before the commission last summer, included a 3,500 square foot clubhouse and a Topgolf facility of about 67,000 square feet. So you had a total gross square footage out there of just under 71,000 square feet. An EIR was prepared for that, and it was circulated in accordance with CEQA. So, you know, there was a lot of studies, a lot of technical studies that were prepared for that, including traffic, air quality, greenhouse gas, and all the necessary technical studies that are required by CEQA. So the like I said, actually 2017, so summer of 2017, it did come before this body. At that time, the Planning Commission did adopt resolutions to recommend to the City Council that the Council approve the project and also certify the IR. That item went before the Council in September of 2017. At that time, the Council did, adopt a resolution that certified the EIR and also approved a mitigation monitoring program for CEQA and for the actual project itself. However, the council stopped short of actually taking any action on the entitlements, and that would have actually carried out the project. So, being that's what happened, the council instead directed staff to issue an RFP. There was a lot of discussion with regards to perhaps other uses that would be more appropriate for the lakes facility. So that was done. An RFP was issued. The city received 9 proposals, I believe, and after careful consideration of all those responses, the council directed the subcommittee and staff to ultimately negotiate with Senator Cal and Topgolf. It was up between two proposals. So what had happened is in November, the applicant submitted a letter requesting that the city reconsider the previous lake-specific plan and Topgolf project, And it included ultimately, which came to our knowledge, some slight modifications to the actual building, to the Topgolf building. And the modifications ultimately, once all is said and done, resulted in about a 350 square foot increased building size. And a lot of the, as this table kind of shows, there's a lot of shifting in terms of previous space. So, for example, the lobby has gone slightly smaller. The lounge area has gotten smaller. Circulation spaces have increased, so corridors and back of house type of things. The biggest increase, if you will, is in the actual hitting bays. Although it still has the same number of bays, the suites that are associated with those bays have gotten larger. And so with that, we had to take a look at that and ultimately see what would be the appropriate course of action, especially when you have an EIR document that had a specific project in mind and assessment done. So let me see here. I think what's important to note, though, is that even though there is about a 350 square foot larger building, the actual appearance of it is not really noticeable. You're talking about a 3-story building that spans the width of an area. So the actual, what you see out there is pretty consistent with what was proposed, back in 2017. So how do we move forward from here? So there are a variety of applications that are associated with this. So first and foremost, we do have a new specific plan, and that is done in order to add commercial golf entertainment facilities to the list of permitted uses out there for the site. The specific plan also allows for alcohol service through a CUP, which there is a CUP associated with this. And it also establishes development standards with regards to what ultimately gets constructed out there with regards to height, FAR, and lot sizes. So that's what the specific plan does. The specific plan does have a couple components or sub-areas, if you will, and some of these, sub areas, we're still contemplating on how to categorize them, or better yet, how to name them, for lack of a better term. So we're going to look at, and could just call it sub-area A and B right now. So sub-area A would be the northern portion of the Topgolf site. That would really be an area dedicated for the actual existing golf course and modified holes. Sub-area B would be in the southern portion, and that would actually contain the golf entertainment facility, which is ultimately the Topgolf facility. Also included in the list of entitlements applications is general plan amendment. That includes both some amendments to the actual text and the maps that are associated with that. So currently the general plan land use maps call this area out as open space parks. So with the incorporation of the lake specific plan, it would oddly enough be titled the lake specific plan, and that would be the land use designation per the general plan for the lakes area. Also associated with this is the a zone change, or a change of the zoning. That obviously has to be consistent per state law, has to be consistent with the general plan. So currently the zoning on the property is open space OS, and the proposed zoning for the entire site would then change to TLSP, which is the lake specific plan. So the zone change does account for a new zoning category.
And Eduardo, can you explain the easement, the utility easement, and that does not appear to be part of that open space plan? It's still part of the park plan. Is that correct?
That is correct, and there is these, but that is an actual SoCal Edison property.
But there are golf holes on that.
Yes, we do have an agreement with SoCal Edison to allow for that to occur.
All right, so we're not concerned about that ever going away. because Edison still controls that strip.
Correct.
Okay.
So also included in the list of applications, there's zone text amendment, and that adds, again, the actual TLSP, the lake-specific plan, to the list of zoning designations that are listed within our municipal code. There's also a site plan review component, which is a requirement of the specific plan. And really what that does is it acknowledges kind of the site layout and the architecture and location of the improvements. So here's kind of an overall, and I apologize, I went from north going up, and now north is going towards the left here. So, but this will give you a general idea of the proposed improvements out there. So in the eastern portion of the site would be the Topgolf facility. The existing parking lot would be restriped, and ingress and egress would continue to be maintained from the existing driveways. There's the main entrance is off of PCH. There's a secondary entrance off of Hughes Way, which would continue to allow for ingress and egress as well.
So Eduardo, would there be a sign there at the northernmost entrance saying if you wanted to go southbound to kind of go that direction and use Hughes Way?
Yes, there would
so
be
you won't
some
be able to come out
signage.
and turn south from that northernmost entrance, right?
Well, you couldn't.
Right.
Right.
It'll be a right turn only.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Is that the way it is now?
Yes.
I believe so. Yes. Yeah. So the parking lot would also be expanded a little bit farther north, and as well as towards the south, which would also take up some of the water district property, which is adjacent to the south.
Is that dedicated parking, or is that going to be overflow parking?
No, that would be dedicated parking as well. Correct. Yes. Yes. So other components of the site plan review acknowledge the golf holes, the 9 holes. Some of them will be reconfigured to allow for the facility, a Topgolf facility, to be placed out there. Another component of that includes a new chipping or green practice area, which would be provided for the Lakes Golf Course patrons. And then lastly, there would be a new clubhouse, which would replace what's currently out there, albeit it would be a little smaller, but nonetheless it would be a new facility, and would contain some outdoor patio area and some outdoor dining area as well.
No restaurant at that facility. The only restaurant or food is going to be at the Topgolf facility.
Well, by and large, yes. The new clubhouse will have the ability to serve food in the future, but so it is planned out for it. But ultimately, who will do that? It's kind of up in the air. But it will have the infrastructure, if you will, to accommodate for that.
Was there any additional parking requirements given the, albeit small, square footage addition?
No, because
did
it's
anything
looked at
change?
No, it's because looked at as one overall development. So and the amount of traffic that is associated with the clubhouse. I mean, it's not like it's driving its own parking demand. People go there are already playing, and presumably those are the folks that after they play or before they play are going to visit the clubhouse.
Yeah. And the other question I have, since you're talking about traffic, was the discussion. Did you speak with Kimley Horn, and did we think that does the city comfortable with the traffic study as it is then for today?
Yes, so we did have some discussions with Kimley Horn. As a matter of fact, the project manager, Rita Garcia, was the project manager when this for the actual EIR itself too. So in speaking and having some dialogue with her, yes, and going over the TIA, the traffic impact analysis, and looking at the list of projects that were assessed, we're comfortable with the fact that it's still, there aren't any substantive changes that have occurred out there that weren't already analyzed in the document.
So just so everyone else follows along, when you refer to Kimberly Horn, that's the environmental consultant retained by the city to review the past environmental impact report and see if this modifications or these modifications mandated a brand new environmental impact report, or if we just had to recertify this one, correct?
Correct.
And that report is in our packet.
Yes.
And their conclusion was that this change doesn't require or doesn't trigger any new environmental impact report, and the environmental impacts are the same as they were before.
Correct.
And that would include the parking and traffic.
Yes.
That's part of that.
As part of
impact.
yes.
Okay. I just want to make sure people knew who Kimberly Horn was. It's actually Kimberly Horn.
Kimberly.
Consultant.
Yeah.
All right.
And this might be a question for the applicant, but why were the bays made larger? The hitting
Yeah,
bays?
I'll defer that.
Okay.
I mean, that's more of their issue. So after the site plan review, there's a conditional use permit component, and like I indicated earlier, that's part of the requirement of the specific plan when the sale of alcohol is contemplated. The applicant still is proposing a 2 a.m. cutoff, so that would be listed as a condition of approval as well. Lot line adjustment, and really what that does is technically right now there are 2 properties out there. The property lines would be adjusted so that it follows the boundaries of the sub areas that are contained within the specific plan. And then to wrap it up on the environmental, so as I indicated earlier, the AR had gone, we went through the whole CEQA process, did the EIR, circulated that. So it was, we also had a couple opportunities for the public to weigh in on it as well. We actually had a commenting session here in the council chambers, free of the planning commission, so people weren't intimidated. But we did offer up that opportunity for the public to come in and provide comments on the environmental, the process, and the EIR document as well. We circulated that document. The consultant responded appropriately to all comments that were received. But ultimately, the EIR conclusions, we're not going to say that there's no impacts, but they don't trigger really any thresholds that would really require us to go into a statement of overriding consideration or anything like that. So there are 3 issue areas that are being mitigated, and that's with regards to noise, air quality, and hazards. And really what that comes down to is construction noise, air quality, just to ensure that the trucks and construction vehicles are appropriately maintained so as to not create an air quality issue. And then the hazardous materials, that's really just in the transport of some of the materials and the demolition of the existing clubhouse, because that was presumably built in a point in time where there could possibly be asbestos, so there's a requirement for that to be addressed. Now, with regards to the modifications, I know it's about a 350 square foot larger building. So as Chairman Baldino had indicated and clarified, we did reach out to our consultant, our environmental consultant, who did an independent evaluation of both the previous EIR and how these modifications, are addressed within that. And so there's 3 types of EIRs that this could have resulted in. It could have required a subsequent EIR, a supplemental, or an addendum, and these 3 types of EIRs are just, it depends on what's being proposed. So, for example, for a subsequent EIR to be required, there has to be substantial changes to the project. So from our standpoint and from what our consultant found is that 350 square feet of additional space is not a substantial increase that warrants a subsequent EIR for the project. or a supplemental EIR, so you have modifications. So the modifications itself do not require another or additional environmental review. So if you were to look at the additions, the 350 square foot addition and some of the reorienting of floor space in a vacuum, does that in itself require environmental review? The determination of that is that it doesn't. So the modifications itself do not warrant environmental review. And then with regards to an addendum, there's no changes to the existing EIR that are necessary, because ultimately the modifications as being proposed are adequately covered by the existing EIR, by the existing analysis, by the existing studies, technical studies that were put together for the EIR on this project. So with that, it is our recommendation that the Planning Commission adopt the resolution recommending that the City Council certify the EIR and making the necessary environmental findings and adopt a mitigation monitoring and reporting plan for the modified project. And then recommendation, or second part of that recommendation, is to also adopt a resolution recommending that the City Council conditionally approve the actual project applications for the site for the 8 different applications that are listed up there. So with that, that concludes my presentation, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. So to be clear again, the conditional use permit for the sale of on-site alcohol applies not just to Topgolf, but also to the separate clubhouse. That's what I just read on page 133.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. All right. So if somebody didn't want to deal with Topgolf and just go play golf, they could go to the clubhouse and stay there and golf, come back and leave.
Yes.
All right. All right. Any questions for staff on this item?
Yes. This land was donated to the city of El Segundo by Chevron as open space, and this has been altered. Has Chevron accepted these changes?
So we have been in dialogue with them, and they have not raised any objection to this project.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We received a letter, and I don't know if this is the time to talk about it, of changes that are requested by Shepard Mullen. They're pretty minor, mostly editorial things, and it's dated January 23rd, and it's addressed to you, Eduardo. It's part of our packet. So if these changes need to be made, how would they be incorporated into what we're doing tonight? Or if they'd be incorporated by the city council?
Yeah, I think they could probably either be read into the record or just acknowledged in here. I think, there's still a second bite at the apple, so to speak, because it still needs to go to council. And presumably there could still be some minor editorial changes that would end up, being put forth before the council. But obviously if there was substantive enough, we would bring that back. But, minor editorial type things and just clarifications, those will happen. And we'll make sure that those are minor enough that when we do present that to the council, it's all consistent as well.
And those appear to be mostly housekeeping things, dates and a few figures.
Right.
Do you guys disagree with any of those changes?
No, as a matter of fact, we have to constantly go through that with a fine-tooth comb to make sure everything is consistent.
So would these be incorporated already into this, or would we have to include it in what we're doing tonight, or would it pass to the city council? What's the specifics on how this would happen?
You can instruct us to include those changes
thank you.
in the motion.
Okay.
And there are 2 other letters too here, Ryan, that perhaps after public comments we could see to it that information gets addressed.
Yep.
That's all.
Sure. Yeah, we'll do the emails and communication as part of public comments.
Okay.
And for the folks at home, Shepard Mullen is a law firm representing Topgolf, and the changes are just to update the specific plan with the new information, such as changing the date and a footnote and et cetera. Okay, any other questions for staff before we open public communication on this item? All right. Now it's time for public communication. The first right goes to the applicant. please step up, tell us your name.
Good evening, Tanner McKelly, Director of Real Estate Development for Topgolf. Good evening, commissioners and staff. We just want to thank you for this opportunity. We're very excited to be back in front of you. It's been a long road coming, and we're just very excited about this opportunity. We're excited that we get to present a new prototype that we're very excited about internally within Topgolf, and have already seen great success with that prototype. It's conceptually the same as the other. We're just taking some lessons learned and kind of reorganizing the space into a more efficient program. So on behalf of Topgolf and CenterCal, we welcome your questions and available to answer any that you have.
So are the changes you're making in this plan just revisions of what you had based on experiences from running other Topgolfs?
Yeah, that's right. So the previous prototype was, we referred to it as a Gen 2 prototype, and it was really, even though it was Gen 2, it was really Gen 1, and it was something we went like this and said, this is what we think would be successful as golf entertainment, right? We are kind of creating our own path here as it relates to this type of entertainment, and so we developed enough venues throughout the country to allow us to gain some knowledge and to input that into a better, more efficient design.
Two things I noticed. One, that the bays are bigger, and the second is that you actually have beverage service on all 3 levels. Can you share with us other what is it going to be, Gen 3?
So, ironically, it's called the EZ building, but it's far from being easy, I can tell you that. The design is not easy at all.
What does that stand for?
Not sure. Somebody came up with it, and they coined the phrase, and it stuck.
Okay.
Marketing.
Yeah. And so, no, the bays, and really the bay itself is not getting bigger. It's the bay area, or the recreational area, the T line is what we refer to that area, has basically just gotten deeper to accommodate more circulation type space, or more space for our event staff to set up events along the T line. So the number of occupants that you would have in a bay isn't necessarily changing. When you're in the bay, you don't feel like it's that bigger. That 2,000 plus square feet is really over a very large area. So it's really a very small change relative to the larger area.
But the number of bays hasn't changed, correct?
Still 102 bays, that's correct.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We received public comment from someone inquiring about a restroom on hole 4. Are you aware of anything about that, or is that part of the plan as far as you know?
Restroom on what?
Hole number
the golf course part.
on the golf course?
No,
Adding a no?
No, not aware of that.
All
So,
right.
so currently there is no restroom on the golf course with the exception of the clubhouse.
Yeah, I'm not
planned.
aware of that. We reviewed the plans just a couple weeks ago, and that wasn't part of it. So, yeah,
Okay.
just within the 2 buildings themselves, the pro shop, the new pro shop, and the Topgolf facility, obviously.
Mhm.
Gotcha.
Yep.
All right. Any questions for the applicant?
The 2 a.m. Hours, is that really the plan for the hitting facility, for the practice range? To be open till 2 a.m.?
Yes, very much so. So we get this question often. You know, what are people doing at 1 o'clock in the morning? Are they really
Hitting
playing
golf balls, of course.
Are they really playing Top Golf? And the answer is yes, they are. So that's the main focus of that's the main source of revenue for us is the entertainment aspect. And if you go to any one of our facilities that are open to that time, you will find that the energy, the excitement is out on the tee line in the hitting bays themselves. People still enjoying the entertainment aspect of what they're doing. Yep.
Is that every night?
No, it's not. I'd say typically, it kind of depends on the market, but typically during the week we're open until midnight, 11 or midnight, depending, and then Friday, Saturday is 2 a.m.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
One of the conditions of approval is ABC alcohol training for all of your staff. Do you have any other training in addition to that you provide?
Yeah, so we have a risk management department within the company. Obviously, there are risks with operating a venue of this size and with elevated levels of hitting on an open edge, right? And so while we're serving, or while alcohol is being consumed, so we have rigorous yearly training of over serving. All of our staff, bartenders and wait staff, are trained in that, and we take it pretty seriously. We also have a partnership with Lyft to encourage that type of transportation. So, yeah. When you have over 50 venues across the country and people are hitting millions and millions of golf balls every week, it's something that you have to pay attention to, and we have an obligation as a company to ensure the safety of our guests, and we take it very seriously.
Have you ever had any accidents?
So of course, obviously when you're in operation for, I think we're on our 18th year, things do happen, right? And so you have to adjust and figure out plans to accommodate that. So there are things that happen, ricocheting golf balls, having to remove people from the venue. We have security in the late hours, that sort of thing. And we address them promptly and learn from anything we can.
So how many Topgolfs are there now throughout this?
Yeah, so 52 open
52?
right across the globe. We opened up our first one in Australia about 6 months ago.
And your plans are to expand to?
Oh yes, to 100 plus
100
of
plus.
this type of venue.
Have any of those 52 failed?
No, they've all been successful, positive, yeah, profitable. Others more so than some, but the majority of them are doing each year over year. The comp sales are better than the previous.
Have you updated any of those over the 18 years? You do retrofits? Or?
Yeah, so it's just really been over the past 5 or 6 years that we've really started to expand the prototype. And so the Topgolf started in London actually 18 years ago. We took over existing driving ranges. And then we came to the States 4 or 5 years later and took over 3 existing driving ranges. And so a big portion of those 18 years were with just those 3 existing venues. The new venues that we've started developing over the last 6 or 7 years are starting to get to that point where we're having to address, them being outdated, having increasing maintenance concerns, and so we're really, actually it's a goal internally within the company to develop a strong maintenance program that says exactly at year 5 or 6 or whatever you're going to do X, right, in order to keep the brand standard.
Do you have an idea of what that might be now? If this thing were to be in El Segundo, what's the time frame where you have to then say, okay, we got to scrap it and shut it down and redo it, or whatever that retrofit might be?
Yeah, I don't think we have that laid out yet. I think it largely depends on the market, what our guests are looking for, right? As that changes, then we need to evolve as a company and as a brand. Right now, we're creating a lifestyle brand. We want people to associate entertainment with Topgolf. And in order to do that, we have to stay on top of what's going on, what our guests want, and constantly evolve.
Do you own and operate all 52 of those?
We do.
So you don't have you haven't subbed it out to other operators?
Franchise. Yeah. The international opportunities are franchise models.
Gotcha.
Yep. So the one in Australia is a franchise. Yeah. Everything domestically and in the UK is operated by the corporation.
I believe I saw that there's an event area. Am I correct?
That's right.
And what sort of events would you be holding there?
So we do a large portion of our sales is derived from business events, corporate events, and so we do a lot of corporate events. Largely, the impetus for a deeper hitting bay area is to accommodate more of those types of events along the T line, and so. It's a big part of our business is corporate events. They do their quarterlies or monthly meetings. We've had corporations come out and do full facility buyouts. They'll literally rent the entire venue for an evening, and that's pretty common.
Excluding the entertainment value for Topgolf, what are you doing exactly for the game of golf? I mean, are you finding that the young people, it is fun, it's really fun. Are you finding that they're wanting to practice more? Are you, I watch on Golf Channel that there's a competition.
Yep.
That you've got some professionals that will play, men, women. I think it's in your Las Vegas. I don't know what it's called. You know what it's called.
Yeah, it's Oh shoot, you're putting me on the spot.
Sorry
here.
about that,
Yeah.
but it'll
It'll come to me at some point.
It's
Yeah.
fascinating. It's interesting. It's target shooting.
Right.
It's utilizing your talents. What are you finding, and how are you finding the younger player today? Are they coming to use it? Do you think that obviously we're going to have, and it's been discussed here ad nauseum, I know, but the youth, it's important that they enjoy the game of golf, that they go out and that they practice the game of golf.
Yeah, certainly. So I think what speaks to that point best is the partnerships that we have with the PGA and the LPGA of America. As I think all of you probably know, golf is a declining sport, and we are one of the only concepts out there that are actually bringing people back to the game of golf. Several years ago, when we were opening up venues adjacent to existing golf courses or driving range, there was large concern in the community about us shutting those places down, cannibalizing their guest, right? And the exact opposite happened. They found more people coming out and picking up a club and wanting to get better. And because they came to Topgolf, right, an environment that's not intimidating whatsoever. You don't have a group of 4 behind you or hitting into you. You're in a relaxed atmosphere, and it's the PGA, the LPGA, the PGA of America have all recognized us as being one of the top promoters of the game of golf. And so we are really seeing the golfing community is seeing us as a very good thing and bringing people back to the game.
What is your relationship with PGA and LPGA? How does that relationship
So
work?
we kind of co-promote. Obviously can't get into those types of details, but that's basically what it is we just promote each other and work together to bring more awareness and bring more people back to the game of golf.
So you could say LPGA and PGA of America supports Topgolf. Would you say that?
Yes, very much so.
And assuming full project approvals, what's your timeline from building permits to being fully operational?
Yeah, with the new design, obviously we have to kickstart that whole permitting process over. We were at the 1 yard line and pulling that permit the previous time on an older design. So because the design has changed, it's a new set of documents. So we'll have to go back through that process. It's about 6-7 months to get through the design and permitting. And so we're hoping to be in the ground by the end of the year. And then it's roughly about 12 months to get open.
And during the construction time, would the 9-hole golf course be open?
Part of it. So the goal is to get that done and open immediately. I believe there's actual contractual obligations to it being open within, I believe it's like a 6-month time period. Yep.
So the golf course opens first, and the clubhouse opens, and then you go and do your Topgolf facility.
The improvements on the golf course are far less than what it takes to build a Topgolf venue. So they'll both start concurrently, and the golf course will finish first.
But you don't do any of that until your permits for the building are done. Is that correct?
That's right.
But there's nothing you can start on the course itself before your big building is.
That could be an opportunity. We have to look into that. The golf course largely isn't changing from what the previous plan was or clubhouse. So there could be the opportunity for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions? All right.
Actually, yeah. One more.
Yes,
you had a couple exhibits of big screens, 50-foot screens out in the in the outfield, whatever you call that, the outside
that's
of
right.
the
Outfield.
Is that new to this plan, or was that in the one?
Yeah,
from
that's new to this plan. That's something that we've begun rolling out in select markets. Obviously, this is a high priority market for us, and there's a lot of value in those screens. So those are internal viewing screens. They're meant for our guests and our guests only, and we have different programming on there. We do live TV. We promote some of the events that we have and programming that we're offering at a certain time within Topgolf.
And those are basically jumbotrons that are at the far end, and you had a bunch of exhibits where you could see them from the hitting bays, and of course at that perspective, they're this big, but they're twice the size of this room.
Yeah.
Will you be able to see those from PCH as you're driving by? Will those be a distraction?
I would imagine that you probably are able to see them from that distance. It's going to be a little ways away because obviously the golf course is between that and so I'm sure that there will be certain line of sights from the PCH that allow you to see them for a second or a split second.
But essentially, the building, if this is PCH, the building runs parallel to PCH, and those screens are way in the back. So in most cases, they're going to be screened.
That's right.
Right?
That's right. Directly behind the building.
Okay.
Are there any other Topgolf locations in the Los Angeles area?
No, there is not.
Do you know of any?
Unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah. Only other one in California that's operational right now is Roseville, outside of Sacramento. And hoping to break ground in the next couple months in San Jose.
Right.
Yep.
Do you have any of those new generation, the easy versions, already installed in the U.S.?
Yeah, we do.
What markets are those
Glendale,
in?
Arizona. That's the first one, and then we just opened one up in Baton Rouge, and it's a newer prototype. So those are the only two, and thus far the venues are doing very well.
How old is the one at Talking Stick in Scottsdale?
It's great. It does very well for us. Obviously, it's a golfing community. There's a large tourism that comes to the area that helps out quite a bit.
I just drove past there on Tuesday of this week, and you guys did a nice job. It's a nice looking building.
Yeah, thank you.
So I mean, for considering the mass of that thing, it's you've done a good job.
We do our best. We want to be a first class entertainment venue.
All right. Any further questions? All right, thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, anyone else wishing to address the Planning Commission on this, please step us. Tell us your name, where you live.
And Mr. Chair, while the public's coming up, I just want to make it clear that any communications on this item, I actually put a copy in the aisle over there. So if anyone wants to see the letter from Shepard Mullen or any of the email communications, there's a copy in the aisle if they want to look at it.
Thank you, Dave. And you're talking about the emails that we received, the
packet
additional
that you
information.
received, there's also a copy over there.
Great, thanks.
Mr. Chairman, members of the Planning Commission, my name is Tom Courtney. I'm a resident of Manhattan Beach, small business owner here in El Segundo. I've been a long-time opponent of Topgolf, and I think a couple things I'd like to set the record straight, or at least say at the outset. The golf course has been in existence for 70 years. In the RFP that was put out, and in the report that was put out by the Golf Course Management Consultant about 3 years ago, it indicated that 85% of the usage of that golf course is non-El Segundo residents. So it's only 10 to 15% of El Segundo residents use the golf course and the driving range. In addition to that, non-El Segundo residents pay about somewhere between 10 and 30% more than El Segundo residents for the usage. So if you look at this facility, non-El Segundo residents represent 90% of the revenue. And that is why it gets frustrating sometimes when people say, oh, he's from Manhattan Beach or whatever, come up and say, why do they have any skin in the game? And I guess I would say at the outset, for 70 years, the non-residents have been footing the bill and using that facility. And I think probably the numbers are the same when Chevron had the golf course and the driving range back in the late 50s. This is a facility that occupies, 24 acres. And I think the last time I looked at your general plan, it represents half of the entire open space. We are not, I think people that have spoken against Topgolf are not against Topgolf itself. I think the facilities are fantastic. It's a great facility, but what you're doing here is replacing something that has been around for 70 years, that has clearly been marked open space and recreation, that thousands have used, and the golf court and would continue to use. I spoke 6 years ago why people say, well, why won't you use Topgolf? Well, if I go out and hit a bucket of balls at 5 o'clock on a Monday or Tuesday, it's going to cost me $50 an hour. No one is going to practice golf at Topgolf. Sure, they're going to have 4 or 5 people come together, hit golf balls, have cocktails. Yeah, but the practice of golf is not going to be available in this facility. Talk about parking. There was parking. I'd love you to look at the parking again, because if you think you're going to have 102 bays, picture Friday night, 4 to 5 people per bay, 500 people. Not uncommon to have a 2-hour wait. So how many people are waiting in the bar? I don't know, 400 or 500. You've got another 100 workers, and you have what? Oh, and by the way, you have a golf course that still people are playing golf. And no parking that's available outside. 6 to 9 months ago, in I think it was San Antonio or one of the Texas facilities, guy was driving around really fast in the parking lot. Someone said, "Hey, slow down, there are kids out here." Guy stops, takes out a gun, and has a shooting. Well, and that's not to say, I'm just saying that parking is a big deal. Parking issues, I think, have not really been addressed here. And just think it through from a common sense standpoint. Picture Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, the amount of people that are going to be there. And oh, by the way, there are actually going to be some golfers probably playing golf on the golf course. The alcohol sales. Texas is one of the few states that actually report alcohol sales. And way back when this transaction was geared to, or the Austin Topgolf was supposed to be the prototype. But over the last 5 years, Austin Topgolf has been very consistent in its alcohol sales. It's about $6 million a year, $500,000 a month, which ranks Austin Topgolf in the top 2 to 3 of all bars in Austin. Same thing in San Antonio, same thing in Dallas. So, what was kind of refreshing now is that we're not calling it a recreation facility, it's being called an entertainment facility, and that's really what it is. It's an entertainment facility that probably will be the biggest bar in Los Angeles County. Again, many of us, we don't oppose Topgolf, we just oppose Topgolf in this location being zoned, again, open space, recreation, and a usage that's been here, a regional usage, for over 70 years. So I'd just like you to take that in consideration when you make your decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Courtney.
Courtney, and I live in Manhattan Beach also, but I am a member of the South Bay community, as all of us from El Segundo, Westchester, Culver City, Redondo Beach, Torrance, Compton. I meet people from all around the South Bay community when I'm at the lakes at El Segundo. Specifically regarding the rezoning of open space, as many cities are doing around us here, they are making any changing of zoning of public property subject to the vote of the people. And we are prepared to take it to a vote of the people with the referendum process if the zoning gets changed. I just want you to be aware of that we all feel very strongly about this and feel that we will ultimately prevail because there's precedences for the original zoning of property to be upheld when they're challenged. Let me look at my notes. Many people doubt the efficacy of the EIR process. What year was it done? 2017? Is that correct?
Correct.
So Mr. Topgolf, in the last few months, had many changes that caused whole new drawings for his facility. But that long in an EIR when we have LAX expansion plans coming, we have the point at El Segundo, that is already a gridlocked thoroughfare. I'm sure you're aware of that. Additionally, the property at the lakes, as you probably know, is listed as protected property under the California Land Conservation Agency. You may or may not know that. As such, it is subject to some procedures with notification, and their own versions of EIRs may be called for. So that EIR is very suspect. Throughout the many, many years of this, there's been so many assertions about the financial condition and status of various funds within your city. Our cities all have work the same way, but things have been said that have been contradictory. They sound like outright lies. This money went there and that there. How much money it gives off or doesn't, how much it costs the city or how much it gives the city. Those facts do not seem clear to the people of the community who really care about this facility. And we'd like to ask that those factors be reviewed and made public. How is it run? What is the health of the situation? It sounds like it's a very healthy situation for the Parks and Rec Department and the larger community, by the way, which consists of nationally recognized junior youth programs that have been run for decades. The PGA and the Southern California Junior Golf Association all endorse the lakes as it is. On Yelp, it's one of the top 10 nine-hole golf courses in LA County, consistently. There's so many things that go for it. There are generations of people there. The community that loves golf and loves the lakes has a vision for this facility that will cost you far less and be far more of a gem in our South Bay community. All it needs is some tender, loving care and the support of the city, because the community is also concerned right now that the condition of the property at the lakes has been neglected. And to that end, you may be looking at a public health hazard with standing water in the water features there, with lack of lights and insufficient lighting for people who are there at night, and there's a lot. Most importantly, just to be aware that there are so many doubts and so many reasons why a handful of people can change zoning of land that we all own. Chevron gave it to the community for open space. He didn't give it to the citizens of El Segundo. We're all a bunch of small towns together. We all work together. So I'd like you to not go ahead and vote that you change the zoning, because in doing so, you may be going against the California Land Conservation Agency. You also, I realize you're not the final say on this, but it will generate a referendum, which will bring the issue to a vote of the people. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? No? I knew if I was patient, I'd get someone else.
My name is Linda Pollard. I'm a 45-year El Segundo resident, and I've spoken several times, and you actually have my written communication, but I'd like to get it on record orally as well. I'm focusing my many concerns about the Topgolf CenterCal project on just two issues before you tonight. While the business of the golf course at the lakes of El Segundo is an enterprise fund, the land it sits on is not. For all the words that have been spoken on all sides of this project for 6 years, the essential point is that El Segundo open space parkland, and it's been deeded to us by Chevron for our recreational use, and it's being set to be co-opted and rezoned commercial space for the benefit of a big developer. The many documents before you attest to how extensive these changes are. The money that's been promised to come back to the city will never be enough to justify such an action and the permanent damage to the surrounding community. The traffic study portion of the 2-year-old EIR alone, which was a point of discussion among you back then and glossed over in the Kimley Horn report, is dated and should be redone given that there have been continued developments at the point, the Imperial Housing Site project, the potential of additional housing coming to El Segundo, as well as expansion north of the lakes, including that of LAX. Certainly there are many other areas of concern in the superficial EIR that should be reviewed in depth before proceeding. The item upon which you are voting tonight should not be rubber stamped by you. The issues of land use and impact to our community are too important for that. I urge each of you to think for yourself and ponder what you want your legacy to be when you make a consideration and cast your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Pollard. Any other comments to make on the environmental impact report or the CUP? All right. Seeing no one else, I'll go ahead and close public communication. All further comments shall come from the dais on this issue. Any comments? Who would like to start?
Start.
I think that Topgolf, as presented, is going to bring some money into the city. And I understand people who do not want it to change, who want it to stay pretty much the way that it is, with some improvements of environment and updating and so on. But the golf course has been running for quite a long time and has not been self-sufficient economically. It would be nice to be able to keep things the same, but the demands of the city financially are such that I think that this will continue to provide opportunities for people to play in the 9-hole golf course. They'll have the putting green, and the Topgolf is still there, and there have been arrangements made for youth and El Segundo groups to have special pricing at Topgolf. So taking everything into consideration, I think that this is a positive thing for the city.
I realize we're talking about land use stuff, and operations is not really our deal, but when Mr. Courtney asked about someone who just wanted to come up and play golf and hit a quick bucket of balls, I was under the impression during that whole process that we went through last year that Topgolf was making special concessions for people who just wanted to come hit a bucket of balls, so it wasn't going to cost $50. Again, I don't know that we've closed public communications, but it seemed to me that was vetted and that was taken care of. You were on the RFP committee. I don't know if that was a topic that came up.
No, I understand that as a condition that Topgolf has agreed to do, is to allow access to a lower level for people who just want to hit balls and not do the entertainment portion.
Yeah, because I think that's really important. You know, if you're going to go out and play golf, you don't want to have to go through the whole Topgolf. You go to IKEA, you don't want to have to go through the entire thing just to go get the meatballs. You know. The Kimley Horn study. Who paid for that? Is that a city expense? Is that does the applicant pay for that?
Ultimately, the applicant pays for it, but it's directed by us. We select the consultant and we manage them. They don't communicate directly with the applicants. So it's done on our behalf, but we have a reimbursement agreement with the applicant.
Okay. And how long did it take them to do that study?
The follow-up study?
The follow-up. And basically what they're doing is they are looking at the new changes and seeing if a new EIR needs to be done based on any of these new
We pushed them
changes.
pretty hard, but it took about 2 weeks.
Okay. Is that ample time to study the traffic? And certainly traffic was the biggest thing. I mean, that was probably the thing we spent the most time talking about last year.
Yes.
Okay.
So I guess we'll just assume that their Kimley Horn, obviously that's their expertise, and that their evaluation that there will be no worse traffic than they'd already mitigated for or assumed that there would be is fine. I have a question actually under operational conditions number 45 to address Mr. Courtney's concern about the parking. That will explain it. I don't think I need to read it in full. You probably have that. I have a question about the legality issues that Mrs. Courtney was referring to. And can you address that, Mr. King?
Yes, I can. Mr. Chair, members of the commission, what's before you tonight is perfectly appropriate to be decided by the Planning Commission and the City Council. From our office perspective, we don't see any need that this has to be approved by the voters. Of course, cities can always opt to delegate these types of decisions to the voters if they choose, but from a legal perspective, there's no legal requirement that the city has to.
And it was been asked already by Mrs. Wingate about the blessing of Chevron, of taking that open space and turning it into a more entertainment facility. The good thing for me is that it's still golf. We still have golf. We haven't changed its use. We've changed the way it's played over there, but and and who ultimately will profit from it. But we have Chevron's blessing, so to speak, or that's all been.
Yeah, I'm not aware of any objections by Chevron as the maker of the gift, if you will. Chevron would be the one that would determine how that is interpreted. So
it's a quit claim deed, though, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
That's all I got here.
Right.
To the city.
Yeah.
Correct.
They
Right.
gave it away.
Not to the public in general, but to the
city.
Commissioner Wingate articulated very well my thoughts on this. I think it's somewhat important to note that this meeting is not happening in a vacuum. I am the most recent commissioner, so I wasn't here the last time Topgolf came around, but I've followed what happened then and attended city council meetings, which went into great detail on the operational aspect and the financial aspect of the business. And the truth is that the way that it was articulated and agreed upon at that point and how it was financially presented was that the city is essentially subsidizing a public use at this point in time. And I think, you know, it's a use that will still be available for the game of golf to residents of Manhattan Beach and El Segundo and everywhere else alike. But I am grateful that Topgolf has continued to come back. I think we're 6-7 years in, so it's some commitment, and I think so many arguments have been articulated along the way. We really have vetted them to a good degree.
I think that's a great point. The reason we're here is because of a change of 350 square feet. And we, city, hired an independent environmental consultant to determine if a new environmental impact report would be required. And the report came back that it did not. With respect to parking, the facility is deemed to need 464 parking spaces. They will provide 523 parking spaces. And I, as a member of the Planning Commission, was appointed on the RFP process for the lakes. And the most lucrative proposal was for an outdoor music venue. So get rid of the golf course completely, make that open park space, and we'll put a music venue in there, and the city was projected to make 20 times as much money. But you would have lost the golf course. That plan had no golf whatsoever. With Topgolf, we get a chance to save a 9-hole golf course, which, as we drill down on the RFP committee, has lost money for the city consistently. It is an enterprise fund. It was designed by the city to not only sustain itself, but to give money back. It's never been able to do that. So when you hear people say we're subsidizing golf, we are subsidizing golf. And we're subsidizing golf for 85% of the people who do not live in the city. So if you really are serious about saving the lakes and having a backyard 9-hole executive course, I don't see a better plan than the plan proposed by Topgolf, who is going to redesign our golf course for us, give us a brand new clubhouse. And if you don't want to step foot in Topgolf, you don't have to step foot in Topgolf. You can come, play your 9 holes, you can go home. But I have talked to a lot of people about this. There are people who lived here their whole lives and said, I've never set foot at the lakes, but I've been to 2 Topgolfs. Our job here is to review what the consultant has done with respect to the environmental impact report. That's all here for you to look at. The change of 350 square feet does not require a new environmental impact analysis. And I'm glad that Topgolf is bringing us their best design, their newest and greatest, what's going to work best at that venue, what's going to work best for us. That's what I want them to do. That's what we all want them to do. We want this thing to succeed. So again, unless there are any further comments, the role of this planning commission is to approve an environmental impact report, recommend to the city council that they approve the lake specific plan, which includes all of these adjustments to make this a possibility. But the real nuts and bolts about, you know, the bathroom and then the kids having free lessons at school, that's all hammered out at the city council level. We're here for the zoning and we're here for the planning. And from everything I've read from my years of dealing with this, I'm satisfied that it's the right move for the people in El Segundo. So unless there's further comments, I'll accept a motion.
And Mr. Chair, if I can interject really quick. So there's 2 resolutions before the Planning Commission. I would recommend that we actually read the titles of the resolutions into the record. If the maker of the motion doesn't want to do that, I have them in front of me. I'm happy to do that. It's up to you. And then the maker of the motion should also note that if it's the pleasure of the Planning Commission, that the letter from Shepard Mullen be also incorporated into the motion.
All right. So you want to...
Is the motion here in the agenda, or is it worded differently? Do you have a different wording?
I have the titles of the resolutions in front of me.
Okay.
If the commission wants me to read those.
Please.
Yeah, why don't you read those and
Sure.
we'll make a motion, and then...
well, I don't make the motion.
Right,
you do.
we'll make a motion.
Right, and then
but
you can just
we'll
refer to the resolutions. that-
resolutions referred, and then we'll amend according to the
Right.
minor adjustments for the date
Exactly
and the
right.
footnotes. All right,
Exactly right.
go ahead,
I'll make a
Councilor.
motion, we approve what is being read now.
Great. So the resolution number 2856 is a resolution of the Planning Commission recommending that the City Council certify the environmental impact report, make certain environmental findings pursuant to the California Environmental Quality Act, and adopt a mitigation monitoring and reporting program for the Lake Specific Plan and Topgolf Project Environmental Assessment Number EA1135, Specific Plan Number SP16-02, General Plan Amendment Number GPA 16-01, Zone Change Number ZC 16-01, Zone Text Amendment Number ZTA 16-04, Site Plan Number 16-01, Lot Line Adjustment Number Sub 16-03, and Conditional Use Permit Number 1605, located at 400 South Pacific Coast Highway. So that's PC Resolution Number 2856. And then there's also PC Resolution Number 2857, which is a resolution of the Planning Commission recommending that the City Council conditionally approve Environmental Assessment Number EA1135, Specific Plan Number SP 16-02, General Plan Amendment Number 16-01, Zone Change Number ZC 16-01, Zone Text Amendment Number ZTA 16-04, Site Plan Number 16-01, Lot Line Adjustment Number Sub 16-03, and Conditional Use Permit Number CUP 16-05 for the Lake Specific Plan and Topgolf Project located at 400 South Pacific Coast Highway. And those resolutions are now ready for recommendation and adoption.
Should we amend that to include the modifications in Shepard Mullen?
Right, so that's up to the maker of the motion.
Okay.
And I will include the modifications made in the letter from Shepard Mullen dated January 23, 2019, addressed to Eduardo Schornbaum.
All right, we have a motion. I'll second the motion. So all in favor?
Aye.
All right, 5-0. Thank you, everyone. We did. We did it before we called
Right.
the...
So the
two
record
items.
should reflect that that motion covered both resolutions and the amendment. And this item will be scheduled before the City Council probably in March.
Right, so the City Council will address it in March. Yeah, I appreciate anyone who wants to come out and speak to City Council, please do so. All right, that brings us to continued business. We don't have any. And now report from Planning and Building Safety Director.
I have nothing to report tonight. Thank you.
Keeping it short. Thanks, Sam. Upcoming agenda items. I didn't see anything attached. Greg?
No, that won't be every single time.
Right. Okay. Planning Commissioner comments?
Well, the D.R. Horton item has been continued, and so we'll deal with that in about a month in February. So I'm sure that will be of interest to a lot of people.
And that'll be re-noticed in the newspaper too, so
Right.
people can...
Right. Yeah, and that's, you know, I think public housing, affordable housing is such an important topic. The D.R. Horton is just sort of a piece of that whole thing, and I know we won't be discussing the broader sense, but I look forward to kind of working these issues through, because, you know, the entire state is going through affordable housing woes, especially in more affluent communities.
And Jay, you sent an email saying there was a seminar about affordable housing. Was it the Urban Planning League you're part of?
The Urban Land Institute.
Yeah.
They just happen to be having a seminar, a conference on housing in general in
Right.
Newport Beach, and this is on, I think February 5th and 6th, I believe it is, or 4th through 6th. Anyway, you know, they have some of the most prominent speakers and experts on the topic of housing, and in this case, affordable housing, speaking at this thing. And so I'm going to try to make it. I'm going to try to go.
I was going to volunteer you to go, actually.
Thank you.
And report back to us and let us know what you learn when you go down there.
It's only $700 to register, so I would be I'd happily pay that to come back a little bit smarter on it.
Great.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, Jay.
Yep.
Any other comments? No? Okay, we are adjourned. Our next meeting will be here at February 14th at 5:30.